Hello everyone, my name is Sick Rafi and I am miserable. But I'm here to bring you guys some brand new content. So we have top 5 decks I want to see in Duel Links in 2025. These are not anime decks, so we have no reason to expect that any one of these is going to come. And they are decks that do not have any cards in the game already. So brand new decks and decks that are not related to any character in the anime. Here's what I think. Coming up at number 5, we have Brigade. Originally, Brigade was going to be number 2, but while I was making this video, they leaked that it was coming. So, unfortunate. The deck is definitely a deck that I feel like makes a lot of sense for the game, especially since we just got both Ancient Warriors and Lyralusks, but I'm putting it at the bottom of the list because it's not a prediction anymore. Regardless. Brigades are a link spam deck that use Beast, Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters in the graveyard as material. Their boss monster, Brigade the Shreg, the Ominous Omen, has a non-targeted banish effect anytime a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster is special summoned to your field. This deck will struggle in Duel Links because the primary method that Brigades use to interact with the opponent on the opponent's turn is a trap card called Brigade Revolt. And Brigade Revolt allows you to special summon banished monsters from your banishment to your field, use them all as material immediately, and link summon something cool. The problem is, since we only have 3 spots on the field, and you have to use the monsters that you were special summoned and no other monsters, we will not be able to make Shreg in most cases with this trap card. The only way you would be able to do that is if you somehow used a Link 2 and banished it. Then you would be able to summon a Link 2 and 2 other monsters. Actually, wait, does Revolt say that they have to be special summoned in defense position? Let me check real quick. No, it does not say that they have to be in defense position. So yeah, the only way that we could make it with a 3-card board is with a Link 2, which you could do, but that would be difficult. Most importantly, Ancient Warriors Double Dragon Oath is a great card that doesn't see play right now because the deck is terrible. But in Brigades will not be terrible, and Brigades can make Ancient Warriors Double Dragon Oath with their monster effects, because their monster effects have banish this number of monsters from the graveyard and special summon a monster from your extra deck that's either a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster. It's not a Link summon, so you don't have to fulfill the materials for a Link summon. Therefore, you can just play your Double Dragon Lords and then use the effect of discard a card to bounce one of your opponent's cards during their turn. Pretty good. Coming in at number 4, we have Horus the Black. Horus the Black Flame Deity is the boss monster. This is a level 8 deck that special summons itself from the graveyard. It's reliant on a continuous spell, which is called King Sarcophagus. It has no extra deck monsters, which makes it very interesting and very difficult to play, especially pure. But you can use it to make all sorts of rank 8 plays. You could use it to summon Gimmick Puppets. You could use it to summon Galaxy Eyes. You can use it to make Hieratics now. You know, there are a lot of good rank 8 cards that you could use with these. There are 5 main deck monsters, and 4 of them can special summon themselves from the graveyard. So it does make it a little bit awkward that we don't have 4 spaces on the board. One of the main things that they like to do, that Horus likes to do, is they use their King Sarcophagus, they pitch a bunch of cards from their hand, they mill all the Horus monsters from their deck, then they revive 3 of them, and then exceeds those 3 monsters into Coach King Giant Trainer to draw 3 more cards. That could definitely be a viable strategy in Duel Links. You just send a bunch of cards to the graveyard, maybe you have some cards that have grave effects, and then you just revive, go into Giant Trainer, draw 3 back row, and pass to your opponent. So I do think this deck will be solid. And, you know, Tachyon would also appreciate like a rank 8 engine that's not their terrible monsters. You could potentially play Tachyon with no skill if we had Horus. Next up, we have Sword Soul, and Sword Soul is a synchro deck where the main deck monsters special summon their own tuner monsters as tokens, which is really, really cool. I really enjoy the deck. Sword Soul of Mo Yi is famously one of the strongest main deck monsters you can play. When it's normal or special summon, you can reveal one Sword Soul card in your hand, special summon a level 4 tuner monster, but as long as that tuner is on the field, you can't special summon from the extra deck except synchro monsters. Then, if you use Sword Soul of Mo Yi as material for a synchro summon, you get to draw a card, which not only does that give you an extra advantage, but it serves as a chain block for whatever card you're summoning and whatever effect it has. So Sword Soul is just a really good deck. It has a lot of good ways to extend, make big monsters. They are Wyrms, which means they have synergy with... I said Tenpai here for some reason. I meant... what did I mean? The other Eastern Dragon deck, the one that's already in the game. Tenny, big synergy with Tenny. Sorry. Aims for level 8 and level 10 synchro plays, and they burn, banish, and negate. So their cards burn you for 1200, which would be halved to 600. You can banish a spell or trap when it's activated and burn your opponent for 600. You can banish a monster that was special summoned and then burn your opponent for 600. You can burn your opponent for 600 just by using a monster as synchro material. You draw cards. It's just a really solid, clear-cut deck that has a lot of good options. And they don't lock themselves. Next up, we have Chimera. I'm very excited for Chimera. I do think Chimera will come to Duel Links sooner than it did Master Duel. This is a fusion deck based off of Yugi's base monsters, the Chimera, the Flying Mythical Beast. It has lots of cool extenders, and it uses illusion monsters, which we don't currently have in the game yet. The Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts, can hand rip and also special summons during the opponent's turn, and the Chimera fusion spell can return itself to the hand, which means that you can fusion summon multiple times. Importantly, we want to release this deck before we release Guardian Chimera, which is a card that will probably come with Branded. And Guardian Chimera is like a really, really strong card, especially for fusion decks, especially fusion decks that can fusion summon during the opponent's turn. But I don't think it makes sense to give us Guardian Chimera right at the start because it's not part of the archetype, and it would make the deck better, so you might want to hold off on that and then release it later when the deck needs more support. And then lastly, we have number 1, Vanquish Soul. Vanquish Soul is like a really cool deck, really fun. It's based around fighting games, which is why it's called Vanquish Soul, because VS, versus, you know, that always shows up on the screen. We're talking like arcade fighting games, right? Like going to an arcade and you have like this gamepad that you have like a stick and like 4 buttons, and you sit there with 25 cents and your opponent sits next to you with 25 cents and you guys just fight. That's what we're talking about. Really popular in Japan. Your monsters tag out just like characters in fighting games. So every Vanquish Soul monster has, you can target a Vanquish Soul monster that has a different type than this monster while this card's in your hand. Return that monster to your hand and special summon this card. And you can do it as a quick effect, which means that a lot of times what you'll do is you'll use the quick effects of the Vanquish Souls in your hand to save one of your monsters from being targeted or destroyed. It's really, really fun. It fits really well with the 3-space board limit, unlike Tri Brigade, because you can't have too many of them out at the same time. There's no extra deck boss monsters. They have one extra deck Link 1, which has 0 attack points, and all it does is it lets you special summon a monster from your hand every turn. So it kind of like, you give up one monster and it gives you the ability to kind of like have a starter every turn. It's not good. I mean, you play Rock of the Vanquisher at 3, but it's not like an insane card in the deck. All of them have different attributes, all of them have different types, all of them have different levels, and there are no tuner monsters. That means there's no synchro summons, no easy Xyz summons, no easy synergies. You will play Reinforcement of the Army because the warrior monster is so good, but you're only going to be able to search that specific warrior monster. So there's like, Vanquish Soul is a deck that doesn't really benefit from generic cards. It's just kind of very insular, and that makes it very predictable, very easy to release. You're not going to expect cards, like, you're not going to expect this deck to make, like, you know, it's the opposite of Tri Brigade, right? Tri Brigade is like any beast, beast warrior, wing beast support can benefit this deck. Whereas with Vanquish Souls, it's like, really, you're going to be playing like 20 Vanquish Soul cards. But I think this deck would be very, very fun, and I really want to see it in the game with the skill. Anyway, what do you guys think? What decks do you want to see come to Duel Links in 2025? My name is Serafia, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.